Please like and subscribe. So, I've been looking around trying to find a bear case scenario for PayPal. I love to find bear case scenarios. I even heard a financial advisor tell a client to sell their PayPal. So that raised flags. I didn't go into detail about why the financial advisor maybe thought to sell PayPal, because some financial advisors are brilliant and some don't really know very much. So I wanted to see if I could find somebody reputable that could explain to me, why institutions aren't buying PayPal. Like, Facebook, they realized they made a mistake and they bought it immediately, and the stock is now $300. But PayPal continues to lag in the $60 to $65 range, and it doesn't seem to want to break out of that. Square has also fell substantially, but with the bank crisis and everybody afraid of the lending, and that's a lot of what PayPal's starting to get into is lending. I don't think they'll default that much. I think they can handle it, and PayPal's just one of those companies. It's a beast. It's a mammoth in my book, and I wanted to see what I could find. So again, it was under Schwab. I'm telling you, Schwab, they know what they're doing. They really have some of the best stocks and stock analysis on YouTube, really. So I suggest you go subscribe to them as well if you want to keep up with the market. But yeah, I like PayPal, and I've been buying PayPal and probably will continue to buy PayPal, but I do want to see why institutions are kind of hesitant, not knowing which direction to go. I mean, I know there's not a lot of money in the market at the moment, flooding into the market with treasuries and cash markets and all that stuff. I mean, CDs are like 5%. So a lot of people are just putting their money in that, so not in the market. When that turns around, more money will go into the market, and I'm kind of seeing where it's going to end or what they're thinking. So we're going to listen. I think this is Tim White. He's the host. They're going to talk to a hedge fund manager on why they decided to go with Square over PayPal. So let's get off into it, and after this, I'll tell you kind of what my opinion on the video is. I haven't done a deep look into Square. I have owned Square a little bit, but it was morely on a swing trade because it got ridiculously low. I sold it. But yeah, let's get into it and see what they have to say. Let's see what the professionals think.
Of Likefolio. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, so we're talking Block again. The stock continues to struggle. Andy, it's down about 13-14% on the year, and it seems like they've got the number of consumers that are using their products, the Cash App and the Square app, but it seems like, I don't know if it's valuations. What kind of data are you guys seeing out of Likefolio, because this thing is unloved across the street?
Yeah, it's unloved across the street. We haven't had a whole lot of love for it in 2023, but that is starting to change. Likefolio data is starting to really shift on this one in a positive way, and there's really 4 reasons for it. The first is just digital wallet adoption. We see really starting to accelerate a little faster than I think most of the industry expects. And the real key here is, I think, that the younger generation, the younger demographics, are really becoming very, I guess the word would be addicted, used to using their phone as a digital wallet, not carrying credit cards, paying with their phone, paying with their watch. Block's in the right spot for that. They're already where the next generation is going. But more importantly, I think from a Likefolio perspective, we're really starting to see a real ramp up in the number of people visiting Block's Cash App versus PayPal's Venmo. And so this has been a battle that's been going on for quite a while. But we're seeing, Venmo year over year traffic increase of just 1%, but Cash App site visits have increased 82% in the same time frame. And this is a really big deal because this is the primary way that Block brings on those new users that you're talking about. And so with this amount of traction, we're starting to get fairly bullish on Block. We think that the company's in-store purchasing and e-commerce platform is still, has some catching up to do versus PayPal. But, the strategic partnerships that Block is putting together with Coinbase, with Stripe, we think that they're taking all of the right steps here while the market is a little bit cool on the company. We think it could be a good time to start picking up shares.
Andy, when you look at the way this company started in that seller's business, right, with their legacy Square app, and now they've gone into Cash App, and they're on what seems to be a popular path for the U.S. economy and abroad, digital payments, right, credit card services, investing, banking. They're doing another good job that they're cutting expenses across the board. They're finally starting to get that part of the ledger in line. The stock isn't getting a lot of love yet, Andy, but is Cash App the future of this company? Because they seem to have, basically left Square in behind them. Square part is still growing, still doing a good job, but this is where they think they're going to get their major growth, right?
Yeah, I think so. And, we kind of think of Cash App as kind of the top of the funnel for Block. And so this is where they can bring in users relatively cheaply, with a little bit of that kind of positive feedback loop that everybody wants to claim that they have. I think Cash App definitely has it. And so while the company is a little bit down and out and cutting expenses, you start to think about what the next wave might look like, and whether that comes from crypto, or whether that comes from digital wallet, whether that comes from some of these really interesting, corporate partnerships that they're putting together. You start to think about the next wave, and this is how we like to think about things at Likefolio. Things kind of go in waves. These mega trends happen, and there is still a very viable mega trend or several of them that Block is riding. And while you're in that kind of dip, I think it's a good time to start looking at these companies before they start making the news on Wall Street that these, customers on Cash App are starting to convert to profitable, account holders on the back end.
Yeah, and we've seen a couple price target hikes recently. Berenberg recently just put a buy on at $75 price target. But if you look at even on, their Block, it's 15 GPV, gross product value, $59 billion. That's a 12% increase year over year. So Andy, when you look at a stock that's been beaten down like this near 52-week lows, and this is an opportunity, and what kind of happiness levels do you have for Block versus PayPal?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's kind of the one yellow flag that we have on Block here, and the reason that we're not pounding the table that it's time to just, kind of go all in on this stock is that we see Cash App happiness at 63%, whereas PayPal 68%, and Venmo itself as a separate brand 61%. And so I think they have a little bit of catching up to do from a user experience standpoint, but from a user adoption and getting those users on the platform perspective, they're far outperforming peers at this point, and that's a really good signal. So if we can get that happiness level up above PayPal, I think this would be a total green light.
All right, great stuff, great data as always, Andy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's Andy.
That was great. That was great stuff. But while he was talking, I was doing research. I love me some research. Let me move that. Yeah, we're done.
The data for us.
We're done with Andy. We're done. So I guess it wants to be there. No, we need to be up here. So I'm going to go ahead and explain to you guys why PayPal is better than Twitter. or Twitter. I just gave the whole argument away. Listen, Jack Dorsey ran Twitter. He owned Twitter. He was the co-founder of Twitter. Do you guys remember how crap Twitter was when Elon had to take over to save it? You're telling me Jack Dorsey, the guy who runs Block, which, by the way, it was Square. Now he's calling it Block. I get it. He has trendy names. But do you guys realize that PayPal owns $1 billion in crypto, where good old Block owns only 240 to 500 million in Bitcoin or in crypto? So practically PayPal is more heavily involved into crypto than even Square is, than even Block is. I can't even get the names right because all he's doing is he's just calling the company trendy names. So does Block and Square. Is that cooler than PayPal and Venmo? Maybe it is. But the fact is, the numbers don't lie. PayPal has a treasure chest of crypto, where good old Square has half to 25% of what PayPal has in crypto. Why are they even calling themselves Block? To sound cool? Is this who you want as your CEO running your company? The guy who used to run Twitter? Really? When I put those pieces together, I was like, Jack Dorsey, very familiar. And then it leaded back to Twitter, and I was like, oh, wow. And then I look up the crypto holdings on Block versus PayPal, and PayPal's blowing them away there. PayPal's more trustworthy. Cash App is getting big and useful. But here in the United States, Venmo is where it's at. It's used in high schools, colleges, arenas. It's used everywhere. I haven't had anybody be like, hey, let me Cash App you. Well, but there is the Cash App, but then Chime is involved in that. At the end of the day, when you're transferring money and dealing with money, you want something you can trust. Do you trust Jack Dorsey, the owner of Twitter? Like, that's who you guys really, Andy? Again, I think you guys are off a little bit on the mark here. I'm going to go ahead and run with PayPal. I was going to do a video just separate, PayPal versus Square, because I really used to like Square. I really did, but now that I know Jack Dorsey owns it, I'm happy running with PayPal. And this isn't financial advice or whatever, but you seen what Jack Dorsey did over there at Twitter. Twitter even sounded cool. Twitter sounds cooler than X. Jack Dorsey sounds like a cool name. Like, everything about him is cool, I guess, and his ideas on names. But when you dig deeper, PayPal is where it's at. Anyway, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.